Hello, welcome to another episode of On the Bench. And if you're like me, you'd be very familiar with that theme song just then. Home and Away embarks on its 35th season tomorrow night after the first episode aired on the 17th of January 1988. So over the next few weeks, I'll be chatting to some of my favourite characters from over the years. And I thought I'd kick it off with one of my favourites tonight. Her name was Kirsty Sutherland on the show, but in real life, it is Christie Hayes. Christie, thank you so much for joining me on the bench.
Hi, Frankie. My pleasure. Thank you. And thank you for getting my name correct, because you said character Kirsty and name Christie. I'm very impressed.
Well,
I've screwed that up many times.
Oh, I'm going to ask you, why did they have to give you such a similar name to your real name? Because Kirsty and Christie, I've rehearsed it thousands of times this morning just to get it right if I can, which I'm happy I have so far. Why didn't they give you a dissimilar name?
You know, it's funny. When I first read the script for Home and Away, when we were casting for those characters, and I thought, oh my God, this would be great. The character sounds so much like me, and her name is Jade. I love it. Because initially, Kirsty, the character was called Jade. And for some reason, it had nothing to do with who they ended up casting. They switched the names of the characters for the girls, if that makes sense. So Kirsty was actually called Jade and vice versa. And then randomly, before I got the job, they just said, no, Jade will now be known as Kirsty and vice versa. And I remember my first day on set, Ray Ma, who plays Alf, came up to me and Kate Garvin, who played my sister Jade, and kindly and very professionally introduced himself. And even he, when he started, said, all right. So we have Christy, who is Kirsty. It is Christy, who is Kirsty. Is that right? And this went on for a little while.
Now, this is pretty exciting to me because I've been a Home and Away fan for forever, since I was, 4 years old. And I'm not scared to admit that I'm 34 now and I still watch it. And so there's so much to talk to you about on this special 35th anniversary year. So I want to go right back. I think you were about 13 or 14 years of age when you first entered Summer Bay. And what was it like to join such a show, a juggernaut at your age, in that, in the demographic that you were at the time as well, which was a huge demographic that were watching the show as well. What was it like?
It was seriously so exciting. And I still remember what the process was like. It was incredibly rigorous to try and get the role. I was only like 12 when I started to audition for it. This went on for about 8 or 9 months. I'd gone for auditions for Home and Away before and I hadn't got them. So I was just like to my mom, what's the point? I don't get anything. And so woe is me. And she was like, just, go to the audition and have fun with it. I was like, all right. And so I think I was pretty lax in the audition process because I just didn't ever think that I would get the part. Like, there was so many girls going for it. And the closer that we got to it, I remember thinking, wow, this could actually be pretty viable because they keep calling me back in. I don't know what I'm doing, but obviously it's working. And long story short, it was one of those things where I just knew my life was going to change, and I felt so excited and really grateful. And I went to school with Chris Egan, who played Nick, my character's first love interest on the show. And I had a crush on Chris in real life. And I remember thinking, this is awesome. Now I can actually kiss
if
Chris
I can, I think you may have broke my heart back then as a 14-year-old as well when I was watching.
Did I? I'm sorry about that. Yeah. I've heard that like a few times, but not like, as this heartbreaker or anything like that. But it was funny, like people saying, because I was so young, and people saying, oh, I had a high school crush on you, but I did the same thing with the guy that I was on screen with. It was really exciting, and I was just I couldn't believe I got the job. It was very surreal.
Now, what was it like going through schooling on set? Did you have tutors and whatnot? How did all that sort of pan out for you?
Yeah, we had tutors, and they did everything right, as in tried to dedicate a certain amount of time that you are allocated on set because you have to do your studies. I could sit here and say that I was really focused on school, but the truth is I kind of just got distracted by it all. And I used to really piss my mum off a lot because my mother is an English teacher, and she's like, Christy, you have to focus on school. You have to, but I was like, but this is what I want to do. And then I kind of got my head out in the clouds, and I was like, all right, hang on, you have to study and you can act. Those things, it's not exclusively one or the other. You can do them concurrently. But yeah, it was a completely different experience. It wasn't really a traditional schooling, but that was my childhood. Really wasn't traditional, so I'll take it.
Well, you're doing well now. You're an award-winning radio host as well these days, so which we'll get to.
Thanks, Frankie.
Speaking about Kate Garvin, your co-star, who was your sister Jade.
Yeah.
One of the storylines, which was a huge one, a massive revelation for you, that you found out that she wasn't actually your twin sister after all these years. I'm going to you've had relationship breakups, which is Summer Bay to a T. Sadly, you had miscarriages to deal with also. But you also had one of the most controversial storylines still to this day, which is when you pursued a relationship with your sister's sexual assaulter. What was all that like to deal with at such a young age?
Well, I remember when we were young and on Home and Away, like if we got given big storylines that were coming up, like nothing would surprise us. And as a young actor, we were always so grateful for these storylines because it gave us some really fun stuff to do. And so when I was given this storyline of Christie Hayes, I didn't really, and obviously being a child, I didn't really think to differentiate in terms of morality. I just was excited about the storyline. And at first I was like, what? No way, that's not happening, is it? But Sam was so darling with me and so sweet. And I'll be honest, I didn't really have a moment of thinking, this is not okay. This is a really big deal. This would never happen in real life. And I guess I just, for me, because obviously we had no same storylines, our job was to do what was scripted. If not, there was another actress who would completely fully placed within 2 seconds. Was just to try and do the role to the best of my ability, which was just go with the truth, which was just that my character believed that she was in love. My character, was making a decision which she thought was best, which many rebellious teenage girls do. And so I thought, I'm just going to go with it and try and find the integrity in it. And I had a really good time working with Sam Atwell, who's Kane, and he was really sweet and fragile and all that sort of stuff. And I guess in the end, it was just got normalized. We weren't meant to fall in love. And then I think the idea was that my character was really sympathetic to his past and things that had happened. Would I, as a grown woman now, ever be okay with it or not vocalize? Absolutely not. So yeah, it was a bizarre storyline. I didn't really have the maturity or the tools to kind of actually look at it for what it was. And there is no way in God's earth you would ever be able to get away with a storyline like that these days, and nor should you. It was a really, really heavy storyline. I liked it when Kirsty got with Miles when I went back. Miles was a good guy, and she divorced Kate. It's just the storyline, like girls married losers. We got rid of the loser. She divorced him, and she had this beautiful little baby boy called Ollie, and she got with Miles. And I like. But
then didn't you leave Miles out high and dry as well? Didn't you run away from him? And so that's why you're still able to come back to Summer Bay, because you haven't been killed off. You just ran away. Well, I think that you should come back with Ollie, and you should take the caravan park. Take the caravan park back, because you guys, the Sutherland family, came in and took it off the Rosses, and now you could come back and take it off Alf. Oh my God. And that would be pretty cool. Watch it, didn't you, Frankie? You know the show inside out. I was going to say, what would I do if I came back? I guess my character would be single because I got rid of Miles. I feel like I'm talking about a real person and a real place and real people. I have to stop myself. It gets scary, doesn't it? Yeah. On your Instagram recently, I saw, now, is this legit? Is this the Summer Bay High School dress that your husband is wearing for Halloween? Yes. Now, I don't know if that's bad that it fits him or if it's bad that I've still got it, but it's Halloween. My birthday is actually on Halloween as well. So we just raided my wardrobe and we thought, what can we find? Now, my husband's called Justin. Justin's a comedian. Justin works in radio. Justin's very funny. He's very youthful and childlike. And he just surprised me. He came out. He was wearing my Summer Bay uniform. It was so funny. He's still I don't know, again, if this is weird, but he slipped in it a few times. I'm like, dude, can you just take it off now? I don't want him to stretch it. It means so much to me. I've had this thing for so many years. But yeah, I'm proud of that dress. It's probably the only thing that I have from Home and Away that I've kept or not lost over the years, along with some scripts too. But I have a soft spot on my Summer Bay High uniform. Well, I don't find it stupid at all, because I actually have my real school uniform still in the cupboard. I was attached to it for some reason, and I couldn't let it go. So I've still got it. So I get that. I get it. So I don't know. It's this sentimental thing that I just can't shake. No, I get it. Well, Kirsty, a couple of questions before I let you go. Your fondest memories of I did it. I did it. No, that's fine. That's fine. See, you're so believable. Thanks, Jake. Christie. Thanks, Frankie. What were your fondest memories of your role as Kirsty on Home and Away, looking back? The family stuff was always really great because we worked together really well as a team. I loved where we shot. I loved filming at Palm Beach. Some of the happiest days would be when we were up at Palm Beach just laughing. And I'll always have a soft spot for the time that I had the Kirstie Hayes storyline, and not because I condone what the storyline was, but because I met and fell in love with as a friend and worked with Sam Atwell.
And I was older then too, you know, it was kind of toward my last leg on the show when I was becoming a young woman myself, and I had a bit more independence. And I know it sounds really cliche, but I honestly just loved the entire experience. There was never a day that I went to work I was like, oh, I don't want to go to work. I just loved it, and I still love it to this day. You know, especially loved Raymar, who played Alf. Hilarious, funny, strictly professional, and he taught me a lot about professionalism. He was never late, not once ever has Ray been late. So I loved it. You probably get from the gist that I could talk about Home and Away all day, and
I think you get from the gist that I could probably do the same thing.
I've gone to the right place then, and you know, and it's great to see a show that has opened up so many doors career-wise for actors and directors and producers and whatnot. Make 35 years. So thank you for having me on the show to talk about Home and Away, because it changed my life and I loved it so much.
Hey, it's my pleasure. And some of those people that you mentioned that's changed the lives of as well as yourself. And like Chris Hemsworth, I think, you know, Kim Hyde, the character that he played at the time, you guys crossed paths for a little while, maybe a year or so.
Yeah.
And did you speak to others as well?
Yeah, I talked to Ada. I saw, obviously, Ada Nicodemo, who plays Leah. I saw Kate Ritchie, because Kate also, like me, works in radio as well in Australia, which is so much fun. And I saw Kate at the Australian Commercial Radio Awards, and we gave each other a big cuddle. She actually presented me my ACRA when I won one, which is the awards for the radio industry. And Kate actually gave me my award on stage. That was kind of surreal. Yeah, no, it's surreal though to see people that I work with doing like A-list well now. I mean, look at Chris, like he's just killing it, you know, and I'm happy for him. I'm really happy for him. And yeah, no, it was a pleasure to be on Home and Away. It was just fantastic.
Well, Christie Hayes, you'll always be Kirsty Sutherland to me. I appreciate your time on what is the 35th year of Home and Away on our screens. I thank you so much for joining me. And I wish you all the best on your radio career as well, which you are an award-winning radio host these days, and all the best with everything else going forward.
Thanks, Frankie. Thank you so much. What a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you.